Hello once again, and welcome to Pills in a Pod, a podcast where we feature healthcare leaders, game changers, and change makers. My name is Ali Merchant, and I'm the founder and director of Synapse. Today's episode features a celebrity in his own right, someone who has contributed to the healthcare industry in more ways than one. Jawed Zia. Jawed Zia is a seasoned professional in the healthcare industry with over 35 years of experience spanning pharmaceuticals, consumer health, and medical devices. He's earned a clinical degree in clinical pharmacology from AIMS, New Delhi, and pursued business administration studies at Trinity College, Dublin. Jawed began his career with Novartis in 1987, holding various roles in market research, brand management, marketing across multiple countries, including Ireland, Singapore, Saudi Arabia, Canada, Switzerland, Turkey, and India. And then he went on to leadership roles across Alcon, Novartis, Abbott, Cadila. He's currently partner with the Archimate Group, a fund that supports and scales companies whose activities contribute to improving health outcomes at all levels. Welcome, Jawed, to Pills in a Pod.
Hey Aleem, hi, how are you doing? And it's such a pleasure to have you here at my home.
Jawed, let's start from the start. Can you walk us through your journey? Childhood, first job, first company, and then finally all the way here.
Absolutely. I mean, when I was approximately 4 years old, my dad was working in many of the Gulf countries, and we left out there. I did most of my schooling in a little island called Malta, which you may have heard these days. It's more famous for its golden visas, but a beautiful place, part of the EU. So I was there in a boarding school for over 7 years, and this was a boarding school in which we had students from all over the world there. So multiculturalism, multinationality was almost kind of, was taken for granted for me. We never would have even at that time thought of geographical boundaries, visas, because we were just all together in a melting pot. From there onward, I had a passion for biology, and I did come back to India and joined AIMS, and there I studied clinical pharmacology. And I have always believed from the very beginning that it is focus which gives you results, and you should be very well be knowledgeable in the areas that you really know the products well. It's not about simply learning marketing, but knowing the products really, really well, the science very, very well, because that is what allows you to be able to build those connects and the relationships, that and also allows you to think a lot more creatively, because you're very comfortable in your skin and the knowledge that you have of the industry, as well as, of course, the biology and the pharmacology that I was exposed to. So there I was, first job in Dublin as a management trainee, moved on to Saudi for a couple of years in marketing research, and again, did that, then moved on to into Turkey as a marketing manager. I learned. I also thought that it's very important to immerse yourself in the local culture, and at that point in time, I decided to vehemently. I decided that I will learn Turkish, and I decided to then, I could, by the time 5 years had gone by, I could almost conduct all my meetings in Turkish.
Oh wow, really?
Yeah. And it was and it's just so fabulous to be able to connect with the people, the doctors, as well as, of course, the environment that you are living in with your neighbors and so on and so forth. So did that, then moved to Singapore as a regional manager for the consumer health side of the business. Did that for a couple of years. Then I moved to Canada, and I was in Canada for over 3.5 years of my duration over there with the consumer health division, based out of Mississauga, which is very close to Toronto, and did that. And then I was moved to the headquarters in Basel in Switzerland, and I worked there for over 5 years. And finally, after doing all this globe-trotting, one of the things I realized that I had really, while I enjoyed this whole journey, but as you can imagine, as a little child going into a boarding school, like I had missed growing up with my family, kind of a thing, with my parents, etc. Even though we would come home for kind of Easter breaks, Christmas breaks, and summer breaks. But all in all, so this I thought was an opportunity for me after doing all of these globetrotting to try and find a job in India. And Alcon came calling, and they were based out of Bangalore. This is where my parents retired, and I thought this would be a great opportunity for me to live very much near to them, and also kind of build my career and in India. Now India was very interesting because I had never worked in India, so it was like people were, when I was in Switzerland, my boss who kind of had requested for this move to India. First of all, he didn't think I was totally sane, by asking for such a move, and on top of that, people were worried that, Jawed, are you going to be able to drive even over there? You know how tough it is, the climate, you have never worked over there. And and me, kind of as a person I am, and I think Aleem, obviously I see the tenaciousness which you have also made sure that you came over here to Bangalore and to be with me and talk to me. That same spirit, the tenaciousness in me was that if someone thinks that I'm going to fail, let me prove them wrong, in totality. And so I worked with Alcon for over 10 years, based out of Bangalore. Initially, 7 years was running the as a country CEO and building the business, but it was a fabulous journey. I mean, we were able to grow the business from less than $4 million to over $150 million in less than 7 years.
Yes, you created history.
Yeah, and I'll, I think I would love to talk to you about that later. So that was a journey in Alcon, and then I was asked to take on the CEO role at Novartis. So this is the first time after 10 years I had to move to Bombay, your city. Was I really happy about it? I don't know. I kind of had never really lived in Bombay. I'd always seen the airports and so on and so forth. I always thought it was very crowded and so on and so forth. But I think the position that was being offered to take over as the CEO for Novartis, and that also from a leader who was iconic leader in the industry, Mr. Ranjit Shahani, taking his role. I thought that this is I should not miss it out in any which way possible. Convinced the family to move over there, and then I started to enjoy it. I must say that. I mean, so did that for 5 years actually, and built up a beautiful business with over I would say double-digit growth throughout, coming to roughly about $400 million that we were doing on the pharma side of the equation. And and then kind of the only companies eventually, by sort of Abbott came calling. They were doing $1 billion in India, and I just didn't want to miss that opportunity. When they came back and said, look, I mean, this is such a large business, and I had never managed a scale, such a large scale. So I thought maybe this is very good to sort of get that experience. And so I did that for about 2.5 years until sort of COVID, and then sort of, kind of moved in a little bit. I did some work with Cadila as a CEO, so got a understanding of how to work with Indian entrepreneurs and, proprietors and their thought process, etc. Again, the first experience, to be frank with you. And then, kind of, I thought I had done all that, wanted to come back from Ahmedabad to Bangalore, back to the home base. And Archimed came calling, and I thought this was a great opportunity to be on the other side of the fence.
Jawed, I want you to share the secret sauce. What made you build Alcon from 4 million to 150 million, and that too in 6-7 years? Break that down for us.
Look, I think first thing first, it's about having a game plan, and having a very ambitious game plan. I remember from my days when the CEO of Novartis, was a gentleman in the name of Daniel Vasella. He was the one who oversaw the merger between CPIG and Sandoz to form Novartis. Extremely, go-getter, medical doctor. So what he always inculcated into us was that you need to be able to think of slightly impossible targets. They should be slightly impossible. They should not be impossible, which I see a lot in the Indian proprietors. They love to set up impossible targets, and they believe that they're not able to pay. They don't pay their incentives, and therefore they feel happy about that. Which I'm absolutely, I believe that you need to think in terms of outrageous goals. How I'm going to make it to $100 million. Can we make it? At that time when you talk about 5 and you say 100, people think that they laugh at you. Are you imagining and things like that? Or Jawed has come from overseas, that's why he's thinking like this, and whatnot, etc. But I think, so having a goal in mind, the speed of doing things to me was very, very critical. And I'll just give you, a small example. We had to launch the Pharma division within Alcon, the medicines. We had 0 and started from scratch. And who was the number 1 leader? It was Allergan. They were doing close to $50 million of just pharma products, or $50-60 million. And I said, okay, that's the benchmark. They are the guys. So, and at that time, I said, okay, I will personally interview all the top performers of Allergan. Personally. They would come to my room, we'd put up a hotel room, and one by one they would come in and we would. And I would be able to convince them that this is be in Alcon. You're gonna enjoy your journey, And you won't believe it. If I had required about 50 people to start off that division, close to 40 of them straight away came from the best of the Allergans came on board.
Ouch.
And it was to the extent that my name was then sent over to the global CEO of Allergan, David Pyerd, that this guy is kind of poaching people, whatnot, etc. And so my CEO then, Kevin Wheeler, called me over and he said, look, this is what our complaints I'm getting. I said, look, no worries. I've got a legal document. Each one of them is coming there with voluntarily coming for the interview. I have never solicited anybody, and here is their signature with a legal paper.
Wow.
So I sent that out to Kevin, and Kevin said, fair enough, then I can't stop you. I said, yeah, absolutely, you cannot, But I think, the whole speed of doing things, that is important. The whole storytelling in terms of, what is it that we as different facets of the business can combine together to deliver a holistic story. And that is where we came up with this whole concept of, what is the best way to achieve, why are we in business? We are in business to achieve the best clinical outcome for the physician and for the patient.
Yes.
Mainly for the patient, right? Physician. So in order to do that, we said, let us triangulate 3 things. One is, of course, the doctor skill sets. So we need to invest into making sure that we skill the doctors up, and with our technology, and so on and so forth. We invested into their own OTs, in each of the larger hospitals like PGI Chandigarh, my own alma mater at AIIMS, Shankar Netralaya, Chennai, and LVP Prasad in Hyderabad, Arvind Group in Madurai. These are the bastions of ophthalmology, as far as India is concerned. They've done an amazing job, So for us, it was very important that we train their doctors and then make them as a center of excellence where other doctors would come to and get trained, and they love it because they are also want to be seen as educators and teachers and so educating the doctors is very, very important on the skill. Having the right technology, bringing in the right technology, is critically important, right? So the technology side of we introduced the first phaco machines with the right pricings, etc., and teaching the doctors behind it, and so that the best clinical outcomes could happen. And then last is the drugs. If you have all of these things done right, and we even put up trials, etc., associated and showing that if you do it with the right skills, with the right drugs, with the right machines, your patients, you can rest assured that you will have the best outcome as far as a cataract is concerned. And cataract, people think that they take it, now it's sort of take it for granted,
Yeah.
It's almost like, you go in for a cataract, you expect to have 100% outcome.
Absolutely.
There's no discussion. this was not the case even in the year that I had come down from Switzerland, which is the year 2004, And when I came in, 80% of all cataract surgeries were done using what is called a technology, a skill called extra cap. Extra cap basically means that you make a very big incision in your cornea, gouge out the lens which is there, the hard lens which is there, and replace it with a hard lens, kind of which goes there. Now see what happens with the larger incisions is that you get chances of infection. Once an infection goes into the eye, you can be rest assured that you will lose the eye. There is no, and that is called thellumitis, and there is no way that you can recover because the eye does not have the blood vessels, etc., for antibiotics to reach whatnot, etc., and therefore the guy goes blind. And that's why you may have heard of number of camps, etc., happening. The whole number of people go blind, just because of the infections that have taken place. But then, if you do this micro incision with the phaco technology, you basically make very, very small 0.2, 0.3 mm sort of cuts, and you are able to put in folded lenses inside. So therefore, now the chances of infections are a lot lower, and you have almost a guaranteed outcome. So I think that the education piece, the storytelling piece, the making sure that the doctors understand that it is the holistic combination of the different aspects of our organization that combine together to help you get the best possible outcome.
So what you said is a good game plan, an ambitious game plan, good people, the right product, and then the right storytelling, and then obviously the passion to go ahead and kind of win the market.
Absolutely.
Wow.
Absolutely.
Jawed, you're very passionate about people. Tell me that one chai wala story, the guy who used to make tea.
Look, I believe that, again, everybody, wants to do a good job, provided you allow them to function and you appreciate them and you sort of appreciate them. You don't have to necessarily reward them every, kind of. So, this was very early on in my life, I came across in Saudi. I remember I walked into the organization. First day, 7 o'clock, I was there because I liked, this was my first day in the job. I was very enthusiastic. Nobody around, And here is as soon as I sit down, at exactly 7:15, there's an old man by the name of, I still remember his name, Abu Said. Abu Said comes along, and I don't know Arabic, so I, through actions, I could feel that, here is the guy who provides the tea to everybody, in the morning, and subsequently. And so anyway, he said tea. I said, sure, Shai, please bring, and he brought the tea, and he came back after I had finished my tea after an hour, and he said, how was the tea? I said, no, it was good, but maybe too sugary, too milky, whatever it is, kind of a thing. I remember on that one day, he at least came, and we used to get 3 cups of teas, So he would come, sort of to be delivered on your desk. You could always go and pick it up from your from the cafeteria.
Luxuries of life.
Exactly, luxuries of life. So here was he, and that one day he got all the necessary feedback until he told me, I had to tell him that this is the perfect cup of tea for me.
So he calibrated
it. Now, you think about it. I stayed in Saudi for close to 2.5 years. Every day that I would walk into that office table of mine, that tea would be exactly the same.
Wow. And personalized to your taste.
Exactly to my taste. Now, I thought that, wow, I'm a very lucky guy. Maybe he has taken a liking to me, and that's why he's he's being so kind as a youngster, maybe, walking in or something like that. Later on, the story, when I talked with people, they told me that he does that for every single person in the office.
Wow.
He personalizes the tea to the taste of every person in the office. And, the story doesn't end there. I remember I left the country. 5 years later, I was a regional manager. Now, Saudi came under me as the country head of that, who reported to me. And I went to Saudi and I saw Abu Said, he hugged me and he said, Jawed, and he said, can I make you a cup of tea? I said, sure. And trust me, I'm not lying to you, but the tea was exactly the ones that he would have served me when I was there.
Wow.
So what I'm trying to say is that, people can be passionate about this. Think about it, mundane job, making tea, but see the passion that he brings to the job.
Yeah.
And so, you cannot help not. I mean, I must have given this story I would have told this story in major, with very, very senior leaders, about how you appreciate people who have passion, and you should kind of, you should be able to learn from them.
Yeah.
And there is so much that you can, what he does, if you could translate it into your own job, what you're doing, irrespective of the hierarchy of what you hold, man, you're going to have a successful company. For me, he was a role model. And I used to say, look, Abu Said, I respect you more than many other people who are way senior and who are in the organization, who I feel they don't have that, display that degree of passion and tenacity and hard work. And he always had a smile on his face.
So now, Jawed, you've crossed the fence. You've come on this side as an investor. How is it different? What do you see now in the industry?
No, look, I mean, I never personally thought that I would ever cross the fence. I was so passionate about building businesses with my own two hands, really, I like the feel and touch, kind of the people and businesses and marketing. And I think, we covered the story on the Marlboro side, on the brand management side. But I think, what I missed to tell you out is that this is where I think the role of agencies becomes very, very important. That senior management need to believe, and I was trying to give you the story that the reason why the Marlboro man remained a Marlboro is because of the agency, that the continuity of agency that they worked with, not because of the fact that the product managers or the marketing managers would have kept changing and trying to do something new. So the onus, is on the agency to be able to showcase the benefits of continuity of messaging. Anyhow, so coming back to the whole, about the other side of the fence, So yeah, no, it was, it just happened. I mean, I didn't really ask for it. I got a call one day, and while I was in Ahmedabad, and they said that they would like to talk to me. And Archimate, I sort of, read about them a little bit. Is that there again? They had all the ingredients which I really am happy about. It's about focus. So they only invest into healthcare companies. They have their own sweet spots, but they invest into all kinds of sectors. Other than they don't do B2Cs, kind of a thing. So what I'm saying is that they understand that what is this 8 billion euros worth of investments that is under their belt at this point in time. They understand their whole idea of focus, and that really goes in with my philosophy. All the things that I've told you about, focus gives you results, and I think they have done a fabulous job in terms of 32 companies that they have invested into. So India, we don't have any business at this point in time, so I am now looking out for companies, and I think my passion really is about how do I look at 2-3 companies, where the proprietors are, we take the risk along with them and build a great India story. And people then recognize an Indian company, at a global level. And that's what we are good at. We are good at, Archimate is very good at globalizing the businesses. They're very good at add-on. They can buy more businesses to bolt on to that particular business. And again, they really believe in the proprietors, and they believe in their vision, and they work with them to deliver and grow the business.
So are there any specific sectors you're looking at?
Yeah, we look at almost all sectors of healthcare. So it could be on the pharma services side, which would include APIs, etc. It would include the healthcare IT. It would include biotech. It would include instrumentation diagnostics. It would include even enablers of the pharma industry, like in R&D. So, for example, we would have own a company which just manufactures plasmids, and we sell it to all the big pharmas, So yeah, and then now we have just kind of also we have invested in animal health as well. We believe that is an important aspect, particularly pet care and things like that. That's a growing market, So again, we invest into almost anything in healthcare, other than what I told you about no B2Cs. We understand diversity, like, of businesses, and we will challenge ourselves to understand that business and the differentiated businesses in particular.
Jawed, I want to summarize this talk, and I normally ask people, tell me 5 things I can learn from your life.
No matter how how hard you work and and you try to do your best, but there are times when things are going to go not your way. Your ability to sort of manage these adversities, and they are the ones who make a character out of you. They are the ones who would so don't be afraid of these things which go wrong. I mean, I was in my career, it was going from strength to strength until the merger between Sibagagi and Sandoz happened, and I was in Singapore, and I was then sent to Canada, as a senior brand manager. And I had been a regional manager, had looked after countries, but they said, no, Jawed. So one of my bosses who was there, he said, look, you have skipped a lot of journeys, in your career. Go back and learn your good marketing, in a developed market. So that's where I ended up in Canada. So even that adversity, you can make the most out of it, and make the best out of it. So I think so that will be the how you handle adversity. Again, as I said, hard work, tenacity, truthfulness is, of course, is very important, that you manage your businesses ethically, and with a lot of speed, and get yourself surrounded by the best possible people around. I think those will be your mantra for success.
Super. Thank you, Jawed. I think it was a wonderful talk. I really enjoyed every single part of it. I really enjoyed the passion, the people, the talk about storytelling, and obviously your history and your travels from across the world. I think everyone's going to really enjoy this episode, and I want to thank you for your time and your generosity as always. So I look forward to staying in touch with you. Yeah.
Well,
thank you.
Thank you so
Jawed.
much.
Thank you.